Meet the Williamson branch, a family of 5 visiting the Cayman Islands and spreading their faith through their music.
He knows the value of the rain.
They're the family who stay together, pray together, and play together.
But sometimes he rolls us and lets the thunder store the rain.
There's Debbie.
We are a bluegrass gospel band. A little bit of bluegrass, a lot of times gospel, and sometimes country.
Kevin.
We feel a call to wherever we go to bless people with our music.
17-year-old Melody.
And it's always good to see new faces and new people.
13-year-old Candace.
I currently play the U-bass. It's just a baritone ukulele with strung up like a bass.
And of course, Caroline.
I'm 6.5. I'm almost 7.
The family lives in Nashville, Tennessee. They perform anywhere and everywhere they can. It can be a lot of work, but it's work they feel called to do.
We believe that God has called us to do this as a family, and so we work really hard to keep that as our focus.
So the Lord opened up the mouth of the beast and he started to speak. And here's what he said. He said, stop it, stop it. Why are you weeping? Stop it, stop it. Am I not your best donkey?
The performance is designed to be fun, and as we get to know the family, we get to know their music.
And he saw the angel with the sword and he could hide, hide, hide. And he saw the angel with the sword and he could hide.
The girls have been playing one instrument or another practically since birth.
Music is such a huge part of me that I never imagined my life without it.
The fiddle, the mandolin, the guitar, and the banjo.
You're kidding.
In the art designed by God, round and silver love, round and silver love.
During their Cayman trip, they performed at schools and churches all over the island. An interesting experience and a chance to get to know people whose musical roots are more similar than most might expect.
Cayman is steeped in very much the same kind of traditional music that I grew up in. It just kind of took a different slant, but it's largely fiddles and guitars and things like that, So the roots are the same, but the slant of the Cayman music is a little bit different. So what I grew up on in the hills of East Kentucky and southern West Virginia is kind of what they would call a bluegrass music.
His daughter Melody certainly has enjoyed sharing the family's talent with people here.
Definitely a cool experience to be able to take it somewhere other than America where y'all's accents are a little different, we'll just say that.
The Williamsons actually have Cayman roots.
Both of my maternal grandparents, both of my mom's parents, are from Grand Cayman. They were born and raised here, and they got married here, and then they moved away and went to Tampa and had their kids, had their family.
This is the first time the girls have experienced Cayman.
It's been a lot of fun. I am really cold most of the time, so it was nice to go somewhere where that's not a problem, ever. And I'm definitely an aquatic person. I love to be in the water and I love to see animals, and I've caught 2 iguanas since I've been here and a lizard, and yeah, and I got to pet dolphins and kiss stingrays and turtles and stuff.
I went to this lovely little beach house thing on the beach, and it has a pool close by. All you have to do is walk down the steps and go through the little gate. There's the pool, and then you go out, and there's a little shower, and then a little spray, and then you go out, and then there's the beach and all the sand and stuff. I called it Shelly Beach because there's so much shells there.
We've had an awesome time just playing for the schools and the churches in the area, and yeah, just ministering and being wherever God's put us while we're here.
Cayman has certainly enjoyed them.
So look for beauty in smiles, beauty in tears. Yes, look for beauty in smiles, and beauty in
Well, I guess the Lord put it in my heart to write these stories.
Bernard Tibbetts believed he was put on this earth to tell stories about the lives and experiences of people in the Cayman Islands.
I've been writing these stories for many years. In recent times, I've written many more. I have a total of something like 115 thus far. That book contains 35 of the earlier ones.
That book is Written Treasure, Volume 1.
One of the first stories in it was about a trip that Reverend King and I had from Little Cayman one night back in 1967. We used to travel between the islands many times without the aid of a compass, entirely by following a star at night. So before leaving Little Cayman, we selected a star to follow. While I was doing some other chores in the boat, Reverend King was steering, and when I went back to the front of the boat, I saw land ahead. So I said, "Is that Cayman Brack already?" He said, "I don't know, but it must be because we're making good speed." When I examined things carefully, I determined it was Little Cayman, and we were almost about to run up on a reef and be wrecked. That part of Little Cayman did not even have a road at the time. He was following the wrong star. So that gave me an idea for writing that story.
Illustrated by his granddaughters, his writing not only chronicles stories of Cayman's past, he says they also include what he calls a moral lesson.
All of the stories have an inspirational impact note at the end. As a Christian, I believe that we should help people to see beyond the problems of today. We need to be prepared for tomorrow.
While Volume 1 is mostly about events, Volume 2 is in the works, and it will be about people.
People that have played an important role in the lives of and history of the island should not be forgotten. I mean, there are many people that have played very important roles, and it would be pitiful if they're not remembered by someone. And while I'm still able to record some of that, I feel like it's a mission that I can fulfill and try to preserve it.
Our next designer is Izzy P.
Cayman Islands-based luxury fashion brand Izzy B taps into a major market with news of a unique partnership with Macy's in the U.S. So how did Izzy Obi do it?
So,
with innovation, collaboration,
this is part of the print.
and frankly, a little bit of luck.
We're evolving more and more.
Izzy says she literally stumbled across 19th Amendment online and was enamored by what the company was trying to do.
They have a design collective into which they invite independent designers from around the world. Their goal is to try and change the face of fashion, because fashion is traditionally been quite a difficult industry to break into for independent designers.
19th Amendment made it possible for Izzy to get her work out there. Instead of having to set up an elaborate and expensive production facility, people see the work online, order it, and then 19th Amendment creates the garment and sends it out.
There is growing demand from people who are interested in the artisanal quality or in design that's not exactly on trend. It might not be fashionable, quote unquote, but it's still stylish, still elegant, and still wearable.
19th Amendment gives fashion a voice.
It's a brilliant example of using technology in a unique way, providing a platform for talent, supporting that talent with marketing and promotion, and then delivery of product.
It works so beautifully.
So that creators like Izzy can live and work in the Cayman Islands.
Here is the Cayman blue.
But see their creations worn around the world.
It's like a tapestry of lots of different things happening.
They bring us all together under this umbrella and allow us to showcase our work to an audience that we wouldn't normally have access to.
So was this something that you always did with strips of cloth?
What you wear gives people an idea of who you think you are, which is why clothing is so important on so many levels. It's an outward reflection of the idea that you want to present to the world of who you are.
Izzy's fascination with fashion started early in life.
My mother was a fashion designer, and fashion was always something I'd loved. I remember as a 10-year-old not going to sleep because I had an idea and I wanted to sketch it. I taught myself fashion illustration when I was very young, so that was something, a hobby of mine.
That hobby has transformed her life.
This is the color of the Ponciana tree.
The print that is at the core of her line, Modern Tribe, tells the Cayman story through her eyes.
Everyone who's come to Cayman has brought with them some part of their culture from some part of the world. Cayman has amalgamated all these different cultures into something that's uniquely its own. And so that was the challenge in looking at the print, to try and create something that could be reflective of all the different cultures. So in the print, you'll see there's a hint of paisley. There's, small floral print, and then the black and white movement in the print reflects the people moving in and out. It turned out to be beautiful, which of course Cayman is to me. So that's what the print then drove the direction for the collection.
Izzy's collection is now available to over 6 million online shoppers on Macy's.com. It's a big deal, especially when you consider she didn't follow the conventional path to get there.
This is pen, paper, pencil.
She started her professional life as an accountant.
When I looked at my options, is design on the one hand, which is risky, and there's finance on the other hand, which you can pretty much tell what's going to happen from one day to the next, and it's very safe and it's secure. I chose safe.
But that doesn't mean she abandoned her passion altogether.
Shopping in regular stores can be very annoying.
She designed her own wardrobe, started a shoe blog, and when she'd saved up enough money and built up enough confidence, she decided it was time.
You reach a point in your life where you start to understand that life's too short. So if there's something you love, it's important to face whatever fears you have around it and, look at it and try. Then I decided to try, and it's amazing the things that happen when you follow your passion and decide to try.
Today we made for you Cayman style turtle with a salad and a lemon vinaigrette.
These aren't just chefs, they're teen chefs.
We have cucumber, different bell peppers.
They're competing for more than bragging rights.
We even got some collard greens.
They're after a cash prize courtesy of Home Gas.
This plate is gorgeous.
It's important for these young students to learn how to cook Caymanian-style foods. It's part of our heritage here and our culture, and it's very important to preserve that.
Number 5, that's Team John Gray.
It was exciting to see the level of creativity in how they prepared and presented these different dishes. It was really a lot of fun.
I'm just blown away because these kids are 12.
5 schools signed up, and they're using ingredients from the grounds plus turtle meat.
And this looks quite healthy.
The job is to make the judges take notice, and that is exactly what they're doing.
The reason why we chose to do this turtle was because, well, we're all Caymanian.
The kids were really, really creative. I mean, John Gray, they made this intricate turtle bread and they put their turtles, so their presentation was out of this world. And then Triple C,
we made a fried breadfruit patty.
They took the breadfruit, they mashed it up, they turned it into a patty and then deep fried the patty. So it was still fried breadfruit, but it was something different, and I just thought it was really interesting to see their different aesthetics.
This is the 2nd annual Home Gas Teen Cook-Off, and these teens are showing off skills we didn't even know they had.
Team number 4 is Team Lighthouse.
So there's nothing tougher than laboring over a hot stove and then watching judges decide your fate.
Today I had present to you turtle stew.
But these young and talented teens braved it all with style and grace.
Enjoy.
It was amazing. I was blown away. The kids ranged from 12 years old to 17 years old, and I mean, to cook turtle in itself, which very few people know how to do, and they just elevated it.
For first place,
the winner, young Catherine from the Lighthouse School, with good old-fashioned turtle stew.
I seasoned
the fin. You put warm water in first, then you just take it out, and then you just peel the hard stuff off of it, and you have to clean it. And then you have to put seasoning like onions, peppers, and some season. And that was it.
And it turns out her seasoning did the trick.
The two schools that took the more traditional approach to their meals were the ones that placed first and second. So sometimes there's nothing wrong with sticking to your traditional roots.
This was a stiff competition. This was a tough competition.
Catherine takes home the prize, but that's not the only thing that counts.
I feel so excited, and my school must be proud of me right now.
Basically, gingerbread houses of this style were built in the mid-18 to early 1900s.
At the Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park, volunteer Denise Bodden shares her knowledge of Caymanian homes and gardens.
With the gingerbread house, oftentimes it is the actual gingerbread, the fretwork, that is very unique from carpenter to carpenter, district to district. If you look at a picture of an old house, 50, 100 years ago, you can actually almost tell which district you're in and which carpenter probably made it simply because of the patterns that were on it. So it really is quite an absolutely fascinating opportunity just to come out and share that with people.
She says you can learn a lot from these yards, the plants, their positions. They all tell the story of Caymanian life in the not-too-distant past.
Houses were usually used for, a place to shelter from hurricanes, for sleeping, and also for formal entertaining, because most of our work actually happened outside of the house, whether we were building ships, fishing, or doing carpentry work, or, whatever. It was all pretty much an outside life. So, you had your workshop outside, you had your outhouse outside, so very little happened inside the house. It was more of an ornament, really, and a place of shelter.
All this at a family fun day organized by the Garden Club of Grand Cayman in partnership with the National Trust and the park. It brought people here who might not normally have made the trip to Frank Sound.
First of all, we bring people out to the only botanic park in the Cayman Islands. And second of all, it's really an education.
So what begins as finger painting and Jenga in the gardens becomes an exploration of the orchid boardwalk.
This is a native plant.
And a new generation of fans of the flora and fauna of the Cayman Islands.
So there you go.
And that looks like one of our Cayman snakes.
For people like Denise, days like this are important.
Can we go and look at that snake?
Because they help ensure that this knowledge of Cayman is shared with others.
But you have to be really quiet so he doesn't run. So just really trying to educate people about some of the native vegetation, some of the introduced vegetation, and of course the beauty and the charm and the value of Cayman's built heritage and some of the unique qualities that these homes have.
Certainly worth the price of admission.
Do you want red or black?
Before all the glitz and the glamour come countless hours spent creating something unique and beautiful from piles of raw material.
So how many feathers have we got in there?
I don't use a sewing machine. Everything is made by hand. So what you've seen us embellishing, but the whole process starts off with just a roll of cinnamon. You have to measure, you have to cut, you block, you steam, you press, you're stitching, and you take it off and you're measuring again. And so it's quite an involved process, but I think everybody's enjoyed it. Do you see what I mean?
Laura Anderton doesn't take hat making lightly. It's her art. And a week before the big brunch, she's sharing her wealth of knowledge and talent.
So you would have the same thing on the inside, on the outside?
No, well, we only have one.
This hat making workshop is one of a series set up to help National Trust supporters create the hats of their dreams for the Brunch Upon a Time event.
It's been fun. I've seen it grow. This is their third annual fundraiser, and it's amazing how to see the women just become so interested in hat making. And what's been good about that is they've come away with a far greater respect for the field of hat making, because it's not easy.
It's been amazing. This lady, she is, well, I don't know how the milliner's world works, but she's my goddess of hats right now. She's taught me so much.
She and her mother came together to take on the challenge of making the ideas in their heads into wearable reality.
Like, my mom is here on holiday from Singapore, and I wanted her to like experience a local island event, so to speak, and I wanted to create something for it because I make my own dresses. So like Pirates Festival, I made a costume. So I wanted to create something that was, you know, our own.
And that they have. Their instructor Laura has been studying her craft for years. She travels to the best hat makers in the world so that she's always learning and growing.
The field of hat making is just very broad, and there's so many aspects to it that you just continue to learn and learn and learn. But I think the whole thing is just getting a good foundation of hat making, and then just use your creativity after that.
So did all that work pay off? Well, you be the judge. But they look pretty satisfied.
Oh, this has been very rewarding and satisfying because look at my mom, she looks fabulous. That's a hat she made, and I've got a hat I made. So it's very rewarding to say we made our hats. And thanks to Laura and the workshop, it's been fantastic. And I hope everybody, I think there's a lot of people who've made their own hats here. But to say that we have done it the traditional way, it just feels a bit, So I'm really happy, and I'm so
very happy.
It would be easier for Kim Jackson to build a catboat from scratch than to restore the old ones. But it's clear this is a labor of love.
See how smooth it is now? Like glass. This is the fourth time that I've done her bottom, you know. Every little crease now is just about gone. This is what you call a kilson.
He has spent hundreds of hours stripping away the parts of this vessel that don't belong, repairing, replacing, restoring.
This is the original catboat.
So that generations to come will have a tangible reminder of who we were, how we're made, and how we got here.
This was the lifeline of Cayman, you know, the catboat. Most people don't realize that. This was what made the old people. You imagine now, this man was going Mosquito Key, and he was leaving his wife and children, and all he had was a catboat, and he went out there for months to catch turtles.
The boat he's restoring right now will hang in the lobby of the new Kimpton Hotel.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm really, really happy about it. I gotta level this off, grind this off now.
The Cayman catboat, like so much in our past, was about using what we had around us to create what we needed. And we did, with our own twist. At first glance, the Cayman catboat seems a little unstable, shallower than other boats, lower to the waterline. Perfect for a society whose main industry was turtling.
They was built like that, you know. So they would lean, you know, because you can't pick up a 300-pound turtle. And the good thing about it was the turtle was live, you know, so he was kicking, he was helping himself in. And that's what saved him a lot of work. Yeah, this has got to be special.
While Cayman's catboats tended to meet certain general specifications, they usually varied in length because of the need to use what nature provided.
And you know, in those days when they were building them boats, you might want to run 18 feet, but you might get 17 foot, or you might get 18 and a half, whatever kind of wood, whatever they had, you know. So, there's no two boats alike. There's no two alike.
No two alike, and only a handful left.
This boat was built by a man in South Sound.
Boats like the Captain D, built in the 40s, still seaworthy to this day. A boat that tells the story of the life that bred a generation of hard-working, resilient people.
If you build a boat now, it's not like the old ones, because, you know, you got so much good tools and stuff to do timbers and stuff. Before, they had to take adze and sit down with that and cut the timbers, and they never had no sandpaper, no sanding at all, you know. They used to use glass. They used to break up a bottle and take glass to scrape the timbers to get them smooth and stuff. So a boat that's built now is nothing like the old time. That is where everybody has trouble. But I found out if you put 2 planks instead of 1.
Ken's mission is to restore this latest boat so it can live on as a permanent piece of Cayman history inside the new Kimpton Hotel on 7 Mile Beach.
I hope that the people that go to the hotel enjoy seeing what Caymanian can do.
And he's hoping it will help tell the story of the Cayman people for generations to come.
But I hope it'll be a history, so we can sit down and talk to the children and tell them what the old people went through with, how hard they worked on these boats, and everything about it, the way they lived.